a lot of people are in a fortunate position where you can get a lot of material things like watch, nice car, nice phone, nice clothes, everything. But if there was no one watching you, following you on social media, would you still have them same things? And if you can answer yes, I think you're in a good position. My dad always says you have to make something of yourself. It could be anything. But you have to kind of leave a legacy to do something, and you can't be afraid of making mistakes. Because the moment you're afraid of making mistakes, that's the moment you're going to stop, because you're randomly just putting these roadblocks in front of you. You've got to have good customer service, because other agents, they don't have good customer service. Second thing is systems. You have to have systems in your business, like regardless. So we've got a team of about 15. We just recruited 3 people this week, and having the right systems helps me to focus on what I need to do in terms of growing the business. I can't be stuck doing the valuations.
So how did that Zaid end up having a big location in Stratford with High Castle Estate? Welcome back to Take a Seat. Man, I'm so excited. Today we have a guest on that's interviewed me twice. But before we get into that, I just want you to do this one little free thing, and that's to smash the subscribe button. You see, it helps us so much to keep getting the guests on. Today's guest owns an estate agency. He's a podcast host, and honestly, he's one of the most humble guys that I've met. I've also know how good as an estate agent he is, because I bought property off him as well, and he got me a really good deal. So please welcome the I Love Monday podcast host, Zaid Patel.
Thank you very much. I need to learn my intros off you.
Stop it, man. You're good.
How many episodes have you done?
Bro, it's I think it's around about the 80 mark now.
I'm still about 30 behind you. I'm hitting 50 soon.
Yeah?
I think I'm on 48.
Okay, so who's going to be number 50? You got to get a big guest on.
I've got a good guest for that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not going to put it on social just yet, but it's a good guest.
Yeah, man. Keep that anticipation going. It's so good to have you in the studio today, Zaid. Honestly, like, the power of social media, hey?
Yeah.
You know, I put a little poll on in the story and went, who wants to come on? You know, or would you recommend? And you just put yourself out there, said me. And I was like, why haven't I had you on yet?
You know what? Let me just reply, because I haven't done a live podcast, in-person podcast. I've done it online. But let me just reply. If you say yeah, then brings me out my comfort zone a bit.
Well, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got to be on the other side of the sofa sometimes. But you are a very, very good podcast host, because I believe you allow the other person to talk. You know, have you ever seen a podcast where somebody just keeps biting in?
Yeah, but I think it's important, because they're kind of telling their story, and if you cut in, you miss half the story.
Yeah.
So let them speak, then we can kind of interject, take it in whichever direction we want. Mm-hmm. But you got to let them speak and make them feel comfortable.
100. What inspired you to start a podcast up?
A few things. One is to build a network, or to strengthen relations within the network. So I've met people that I probably wouldn't have met. I'm going to meet people that I probably wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the podcast, and not just in the property space, the general business space. The second, I would say, would be bringing me out of my comfort zone, because personal branding is important now. Social media is important now, and you probably don't see me doing what you do, like, hi, this is Zaid. I just don't do it. For some reason, I just don't do it. Maybe I will start soon. So I thought, you know what, one way that I know I feel comfortable speaking to other people, listening to them about their stories. So I thought, let me just start a podcast. But I thought, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly. That's why I've got the videographer and everything, rather than the audio. And you were the first person I recorded, actually.
Yeah.
Because I just messaged you. I think you want to jump on. You're like, yeah, cool.
Let's do it.
And I think you were out your comfort zone the first time as well.
I think I was. I was out of my comfort zone. I was just a little bit frozen.
I was like this. Stiff.
Hello. How are you?
The second time we did quite well, I think.
We both had grown. That was good. That was good to see how much you'd grown as a host, and me. I came in with a blazer this time. I was like, yeah, I'm ready.
Ready, innit?
I hit the gym for a couple of months before that as well. The first time, everyone in the comments said, Sean, you look like a potato. I think I was.
My second half, Sean looks sharp.
Yeah. Do you know what? How important is the way you look?
You know what? It's important, and I might as well mention this now. I'm on my own fitness journey as well. So I've lost about 9 kg in about 5 weeks.
Wow.
And literally clean eating. And I don't think it's necessarily how you look, but it's how you feel inside.
Yeah.
And when, like, I've noticed by eating clean, so I'm talking literally for 5-6 weeks, no sugar, no desserts, no ice cream. Ask anyone how hard that is for me. No fried food, no very, very little Indian food. And if it is like our curries and stuff, I'm very picky on what I'm eating or portions and everything.
Wow.
So I've lost about 9 kg in 5 weeks. I got my weigh in tomorrow, so hopefully
Nice.
hit the 10.
So do you have a trainer or something?
Shout out Kevin Stewart. He's also been a guest on my podcast. So he messaged me and I said, okay, cool, let's do it. So after Ramadan when we were fasting, the day after Eid I started, I thought, cool. And he's like literally on my case saying, have you trained, what you eaten? So he's helped me a lot. And I think when you're a busy person, and generally everyone's busy as life kind of gets hold of them, and as you get older, you just need someone, you know what, this is all you need to do. Do this first thing in the morning, you're fine. Rather than researching, oh, should I do squats? Should I do lunges? What's better? I've got a professional footballer, professional athlete telling me this is what you need to do and this is what you need to eat.
Wow. So what made that important to you?
Why fitness is important.
Yeah. I mean, why did you have to lose 9 kg?
I still want to lose more. It's important because I think as I'm getting older, you just notice little niggles. Back hurts, shoulder hurts, leg hurts. I've had a knee operation when I was 16 playing football, as a lot of Asians do for some reason. And then obviously I notice in my family that as people are getting older, they're having health issues. And for me, it's like for me to take care of my family, whether that's my wife, whether that's my parents, my grandparents, I need to be in a good health. I need to be in good health or in a good healthy state. So I think for me, and I've just noticed our general Asian food is just bad for us, man. But we want that roti, we want that rice, but having clean eating has like helped me a lot, and it's given me a lot of energy.
That's the most important thing, gives you energy. I mean, I've heard this quote by my granddad, and he's like, what's the most important thing to you? Is it your wife? Is it your kids? Is it your business? Is it your job? And I'm trying to figure it out. And he goes, the most important thing is you.
Yeah, it's true.
Because if you're not in good check, then you can't be good for your wife, your children, your job, or anything. If you stop, everything stops. So why do you not look after this? So that's a great point. Going back to your podcast, what are the main topics in your podcast that you like to speak about? So what is your podcast sort of known for? I know it's I Love Mondays, but what does that mean?
I Love Mondays basically means that whenever you want to start something new, people say, "Oh, wait till Monday." Start on a diet, Monday. Gym, Monday. Business, Monday. Everything, Monday. But there's a kind of rhetoric in the just people in general. They're just like, I don't like Mondays. Oh, Mondays again. But if you really want to enjoy your life, you've got to like Mondays, whether that's because you want to start a business, whether you just want to make a little change in your life. It could be anything. I just want to do 10,000 steps. Okay, look forward to something that you enjoy doing. Don't hate your job. That's why we're in business. We like what we do. You wouldn't invest so much time in podcasting, Airbnb, property investing if you didn't enjoy it. And that's why on Monday, you're probably like, I look forward to it because I know I'm going to do boom, boom, boom. Rather than, I don't want to travel. I don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
And so I like to speak to entrepreneurs like yourself, property investors, again, like yourself. So they give their stories on, I was here and then I got here. And I've had people who started off here. Like I just interviewed someone who went to private school. So he started off here and he's developed 100 million of property. So he's like, hi. But everyone's had a start and everyone's got a different journey. And it's about inspiring people to say, you know what, this is my journey and I want to make a journey for myself.
Sounds amazing, bro. So being that we're talking about journey, let's talk about your journey and how you ended up opening your very own estate agency, which is High Castle Estates. How did that all come about? So I know you're a local East London boy.
Yeah, big up Forest Gate.
Come on. E7.
You're Forest Gate as well, isn't it?
I was Forest Gate for a long time. Born in Stratford. Yeah, from about 2008 moved to, Forest Gate because they had bigger houses and stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Beverly Hills.
Yes, for sure, man. It was like a triple fronted house, you know?
Yeah.
Get them big houses. But unfortunately, we had to sell it from when we moved from there as well. But, you know, it appreciated quite well.
It's a nice area. So I was born and bred there. I went to school in Forest Gate, secondary school as well. I had a, I'd say I had a really good childhood. I am the eldest child. So my dad always says first child syndrome because they were like 20, 21, my parents, when I was born. So imagine a 20, 21-year-old now bringing up a kid. So my dad's like, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have Google back then. You just learn off your parents, basically. But I think I've been raised quite well. Credit to both my mum and dad. They put a lot of hard work into me. And I know I wasn't the easiest child.
No?
Um,
Why not?
I was just naughty, innit? Just a typical naughty, cheeky boy. I used to be hyper. In fact, I used to go straight for school and I used to get in detentions. So my parents applied to St. Bon's, which, you know, was a strict school back then. And I got in. So midway through year 8, I said, okay, cool, you're going there.
Okay. How
But
old are you, Zaid?
now, 34. Yeah, 34.
Still young.
Yes, halfway to 70, as my sister likes to say. But I was like a naughty kid, but I think because I was the eldest and my parents were quite young, I've always had like a good head on my shoulders. So that's kind of helped me quite a lot. And then I used to go, so I used to go mosque in the morning to learn, and then I would go school.
What time was mosque?
6:30. And
Early
the mosque
start.
teacher would call my house at 6:30, say, where is this kid? My mom would pick up, wake me up, go to it, get to mosque. I would go. But it's taught me discipline. I've got to be up. So now I'm a morning person. Come back at 3:30, 4:45, and 4:30 I'd be back at mosque until 7:30, and then I come back, do my homework, and then go to sleep. But my parents kept me busy at a young age, and I think looking back at it now, I like being busy, but it's also important being busy. Otherwise, what's that saying? An idle mind is a devil's workshop.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, when you got too much time in your hands, you end
Yeah.
up overthinking.
Overthinking. Nowadays, you're just scrolling, TikTok, mindless. Like you're doing mindless things or watching TV. Not necessarily overthinking sometimes, but yeah, sometimes you're like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not doing anything. And sometimes it's just do that thing that you need to do. Whether it's a small chore, whether it's write a plan or whatever it is you want to do, just do it. So I've been quite busy until I was about 16, 17. Went St. Bon's to do A levels. Absolutely fluffed it, messed up.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what happened, yeah. I'm a very literal person. So if you tell me, don't do this, I just won't do it, especially at a young age. So I must have missed a maths lesson. And this was in second year. And I didn't know what the homework was. So I didn't do the homework. So the teacher said, don't come back until you've done your homework. I didn't go back to that class for 4 or 5 weeks in second year A level.
Wow.
So because of that, I kind of messed up. But I think in like college, I was just like, because in school, everything's easy. You just revise the day before. I thought that's how it was in college, and it wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of revised the day before, realized, okay, this is hard. I got like into uni, so I didn't fluff it completely, but I think I should have got B's and A's. Ended up with C's and D's.
Okay. What did your parents say about
So, you know what? We had relatives down, as Asians do, during the summer holiday. So they forgot his results day somehow because they were so busy with relatives, and they kind of just forgot. So then a few days later, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to uni, whatever. And then they're like, oh yeah, what did you get? And it's not like them to take the eye off the ball, but because literally we had like 15 people around, so mum's busy, dad's busy. It's just like kids are second priority when all the relatives are around. And they weren't happy, but they're like, okay, cool, you got into uni, you're going to do accounting, it's okay. But I think my dad would have preferred I got into like a LSE top uni kind of thing, but I ended up at South Bank. But it's fine, it's part of my journey.
100? And what do your parents do?
My mum's a housewife now. She used to work retail. She's done boots and she volunteers for charity now, actually. She helps. So, you know, like Islamically, when a person dies, you have to bathe them before burying them.
Okay.
So she does the post-death she does the post-death bath before burying the female for females.
Wow.
And then she also does chaplaincy to end of life. So she'll go to hospitals. Actually, on Eid Day, she got a phone call saying, can you come because this person's about to pass away. It was a child about to pass away. And then just kind of give encouraging words to the family. Just say, it's okay, they're going to better afterlife, and just give them encouraging words. Just pray this will make you feel better, stuff like that. That's my mum. My dad, he does a lot of things, man. Proper investment, like on behalf of family. Care homes. He manages 2-3 care homes. He's worked in IT like pretty much all his life. Bear in mind, my dad came to the country when he was 19, 20. He worked in, I don't know if you might remember, like one of them factories and stuff, like cleaning the floors. He's done all of that.
Wow.
Studied IT. He studied finance, a bit of finance, not like a full degree. He still says, look, I'm still a freshie to everyone. So then he kind of worked his way up. And then someone offered him the opportunities to manage care homes. So he's like, cool, I'll do it. So he's been doing that for the last about 9-10 years, maybe longer, 15 years.
Okay. So did that like make you want to work harder when you saw how hard your dad's been working?
Yeah, because I've seen both of them work. Like, I've been in the car when my dad picks up my mum late at night from the station, and I've seen him leave early, come home late, and then all of a sudden we're doing an extension to the house, or we're doing a loft to the house, and so you see that, and it's inspiring. And for me, it's always like, you've got to work hard. And because he worked me hard when I was younger, both my parents worked me hard when I was younger, it's kind of stayed within me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've wanted to work hard, and my dad always says you have to make something of yourself. It could be anything, but you have to kind of leave a legacy, but want to do something. And you can't be afraid of making mistakes, because the moment you're afraid of making mistakes, that's the moment you're going to stop, because you're randomly just putting these roadblocks in front of you.
100. Love that. What do you think, like, why is there so much more respect for our parents in our Asian communities than other communities, do you think?
There's 2 communities which have a lot of respect for parents I've seen. So one is our Asian one is a black community. Like, they respect their parents. Why is a good question. I think, like, personally speaking, we always have a close family bond. There's a lot of family get-togethers, and we don't really get kicked out of a house, do we? We kind of choose to move out. And I think there's a difference. Whereas if you're getting told at 18 years old, go move somewhere else, you're going to feel a bit of resentment. And I think that's what happens. That's when resentment grows. And one thing, like, my mum always says, recently she said it as well, because my grandparents are, one's 75, my grandma's 75, my granddad's 81. He goes, no matter what, she said, no matter what happens, they are not going into a care home. And you're probably the same with your parents. Then whatever happens, I'm looking after them. It's my responsibility. Whereas I've seen care homes. I've been in care homes. My dad manages them. He says that some people just get left to their own devices. Some old people, no one comes to them. And I think because we've been instilled from a very young age, it's about family. Family is important. Your health is important. Your wealth is also important. But what is wealth? Wealth is health and family. So you have to be able to look after family, and obviously you need money and finances to do that. But to be there and give time to your family, that's important as well. So we like visit my grandparents every Saturday, every other Saturday, or pop in the week. My parents I visit regularly. I see my dad pretty much every day. I call my mum every couple of days, 3-4 days at least, if I don't see her. My grandparents who are in Africa, my dad's side, I'll call them. When we get together, we have like a full-on 30 people get together in the middle of a jungle. My sister says I always mention the jungle in the podcast, but it's got to be done. But I think we've just been instilled from when we were younger that family is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think The system wants us to have families.
No. And I don't think the system wants us to have a community either. Because if you look at what they're doing, they are trying to break up families. When you break up a family, you break up the core, the nucleus of a community. So they don't want me knocking on my next door neighbor saying, here's some food. They don't want that. Whereas if you look at our parents' generation, they used to do it all the time. They used to be around everyone's houses all the time. And I think with the phones, we do that a lot less. Our generation do that a lot less. And I think where they're trying to break up communities in terms of like, have you heard of the 15-minute cities?
No.
So there's something they're trying to introduce called 15-minute city where everything is within 15 minutes. And that's not a community, man. Like really and truly. And you know Upton Lane, right? There's a Gurdwara there, and 2 blocks down there's a masjid there's a mosque there. And there's a church in between, and there's a church at the end. There's 2 out of the 4 buildings are always full. You see people all the time. One is a Gurdwara, and one is a masjid. This is a Christian country. Yeah, the churches aren't full. On the way home, I've got a Gurdwara on my right. That's always full. There's always people coming in and out, and that's your center point for your community. If you got a Sikh wedding, a lot of the time they'll come from the house. You got coaches from the house to the Gurdwara, and then from the Gurdwara you go to the location.
Yeah.
It's
You
right,
probably
innit?
see somebody on the horse as well.
Yeah, I've seen it because I've lived near it. And same with the mosque. We have our weddings in the
Yes.
mosque, and that's our community. So I feel like the system wants to break up the communities.
Yeah, because the old saying is divide and conquer.
Yeah,
So the more people that get together and have a similar mindset, that's power, really. The other day, I saw an ambulance at the lights, yeah? And then and the lights were going off. A motorbike went right in front of it to stop. And then I saw these cars going past, and I think it was a prime minister or something going past. And I looked at that and I went, is that how important that person is? Somebody could be dying in that ambulance,
yeah.
Where's that morality gone?
I don't think there is much more morality left when it comes to like, politicians and stuff like that. They don't care, man. Look at COVID time. They don't care. They don't care about that
I think
average
that
person.
AstraZeneca,
Yeah, they made billions, innit?
I think it's just come out that they have to pull it off the, shelves because there's an element in there that actually, causes like stomach problems and cancers and stuff.
Was this recent?
This
Yeah,
is
I didn't
recent
read
in the
about it.
last couple of weeks. It's just come out. So you just think, so at the time you had no choice and you
Yeah.
were being a bad citizen for not taking this. And today, 3-4 years on, it's causing all sorts of issues in certain people.
Yeah.
And it's really scary because it's somebody else telling you have to take this and you're not supporting, the communities and other people, not keeping people safe and people pointing fingers at you. But now it's like, oh, sorry, we made a mistake.
Yeah. And I think, that word sorry, I think it's so overused because you know what happens is they do a massive scandal and then they say, we'll do an inquiry. And then they do an inquiry. Oh, yeah, 20 years ago, this shouldn't have happened. We're really sorry. Yeah, but who's been affected over the last 20 years? Look at the post office scandal. I personally know of families who've had post offices and they've lost their life savings. They've closed the business down. And everyone knows how when you've got a business and you've got to shut it down, it's one of the most difficult, heartbreaking things to do.
What was that scandal? Sorry, I don't know.
Post office scandal, there was an issue with the software and where the till, so at the end when you're working in your dad's shop, you got to count the money in the
Yeah.
till. So the till might say £1 off, £2 off. This post office scandal will say the post office tills will say £10 off, £100 off, £1,000 off. So because it's like related to Royal Mail and everything, people are putting their own money back in, thinking, "Where's this £1,000 gone? Where's this £100 gone?" And if that's happening on a regular basis, you're losing everything. And that's affected people. So I don't know what's happened. I haven't kept up with the inquiry. But at the end, what are they going to say? Oh, we're sorry. This shouldn't have happened.
Wow.
But people have committed suicide over it because it's their business, it's their life earnings, their life savings, everything they work for.
Sometimes we blindly just trust these big institutions thinking it should be right. And we just there's so many decisions, sometimes I walk into a shop and I question things and people look at me like I'm stupid, you know what I mean? And they're thinking, why are you asking this? Like, this is how it's supposed to be, or this is how our procedure. And I'm like, but why is it that way? Doesn't this make more sense? The other day, I walked into Howden's, yeah, and I walked into Howden's, and I just needed a couple of doors. I had a builder on a day rate with me, two doors to put on, bro. And I went to the guy and said, "Can I have these two doors?" And he goes, "Have you got an account?" I said, "Yeah, I think I've got an account." And then he tried to search my name, he couldn't find it, couldn't search out the address because you ain't got an account. I said, "Yeah, I have." So I gave him my business card, in my business bank card, and then he goes, "Yeah, oh, you have got an account, but it's closed." I went, "All right, cool. So here's a business, I have opened it. Maybe I went to Ren's last time. I remember last year they gave me a day account. Maybe they didn't update it. Yeah, you can't shop in here today." I was like, "Yeah, okay." And he goes, "Yeah, it needs 24 hours." I was like, "I need to buy two doors now. I've got a builder with me." Nah, not today. You ain't got an account. Unless you got an account, then you're gonna. And I was just like, "Hey, hang on. You're being borderline cheeky,
Yeah.
smart with me." I was like, would you mind if I just speak to the manager?" And he goes, "Yeah, I am the manager." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "All right, I think I should make this public then." So I pulled out my phone and he goes, "You can't film in here, mate. You can't film in here." I was like, "Well, I'm just in Howden's right now. I had an account. They said I need 24 hours before I can buy a couple of doors." It doesn't seem right because they're just
Yeah.
looking at a computer said, "No, I'm a business client." And then he tried to shove me and I was like, "Listen, I don't think you want to be shoving me, mate. I don't think you want to be pushing me." Guess what? I put it on my Instagram story. 1,600 people just saw it on a story, 1,600. I've got about 50, 60 likes on the post, and people going, "That just feels racist." Racism is not said nowadays, it's felt.
Yeah.
And then I had blue tick verified Howden's Joinery write me a message going, "Please, can you let us know the details of this incident?" So I emailed them. People, he goes, "What are you going to do? What's your followers going to do?" I said, "You know what? Just for that, you watch now. I will take this forward." Do you know what I mean? But too many people just what you're saying, mindless thinking.
Yeah.
They're not thinking, this is a big company, Howdens. If we provide good customer service for this person, it's a couple of doors. We're selling, we're getting money. We can take photos and prove to the company that we've done a good service because this is a customer. Maybe the next 10, 15,000 pound kitchen he's going to buy from us. That guy just looked at me and went, "I'm not going to sell you a door." And I don't know, something inside in my gut tells me that if I had a different color skin and I was like, "Excuse mate, please could I get a couple of doors, help me out?" "No problem, mate. We sort that out for you. You can use my account." Like,
Yeah.
you see it. You see people in front of in the queue. You see how, "All right, mate, how's it going?" How they would get greeted. As soon as it's you, they're like, "Yeah, mate." It's like the level of service gone down.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that? Do you ever feel that?
Yeah, I think sometimes I do. Happened when I was in Lidl, I think like about a year ago. And it wasn't the service, it was just the people in front of me in the queue. And they were just being aggy for no reason to me. And I don't know, I just told them, "Piss off, mate. Hey, I'm behind you in the queue. You can see there's loads of people, so I've had to stand in a different way. There's no need." And it's the way they say it. They're trying to speak more clear English.
Yeah.
We were born and bred here. We probably speak better English than them.
Yeah. And I do feel it's racism isn't said nowadays, it's felt.
Yeah.
You feel it.
But you know what? I think I've gone beyond that stage where I don't really care if you're racist to me. Like, okay, if you're racist, be racist to my face. Like, why are you hiding behind something? Just be racist to me. Then we will see what happens. Innit? I'm not talking in a physical way, but I can shut you down.
Yeah.
But that's what it's become, because racism is everywhere now. And I as a Muslim, I feel that on the news everywhere. And
What do you mean by that? Like Islamophobia?
yeah, Islamophobia, it's everywhere. And you see that anything related to like Islamophobic incidents, the government play it down. In fact, there's now charities there's two charities I can think of, MEND, who battle the political and media aspect of Islamophobia. So any Islamophobia in the news, they literally get headlines changed. So, sometimes like during COVID, they'll put a picture of a lady in a hijab saying, "Oh, COVID is spreading." And they put, why? That doesn't represent Britain, apparently. But 95% of the population doesn't wear a hijab. So why are you putting a lady in a hijab? Probably 99% of the population. And they'll basically contact them, say, like, "This isn't right. spreading Islamophobia. You're creating what do you call it? I forgot the word now, but you're spreading hate for no reason. And then they'll change the headline, they'll change the picture, but they leave it up there for 2-3 hours, and this happens regularly. Like BBC do it a lot. There's another charity, Islamophobia Relief Unit. What they do is, if something's happened in a workplace or a school or professional capacity, and they feel that okay, it is Islamophobic, then they've got a legal team and say, okay, we'll fight it for you.
Here's the thing, like a couple of weeks ago in Hainaut, there was that English man, I believe, with a sword.
Yeah.
And I heard he decapitated that little 14-year-old. And the first thing they said, this is not a terrorist attack.
Colour the skin.
And the next thing is he's been taken to hospital because he's had some injuries, and then he's going to be called in for questioning. Imagine if that was somebody of colour.
Yeah. And the thing is, what happens is, and this is their way, what you said earlier about dividing and conquering. I've seen, and you've probably seen, as in on the news, that Sikh people wearing turbans have got attacked because people think they're Muslims. That means they know, the media know, that their target audience is uneducated. So all they're saying is, these brown person caused a terrorist attack. And it gets to the stage, not much anymore, but before, anytime you have a terrorist attack, imagine say, please don't say it's a Muslim. Because they just say terrorist attack. And the first thing, that's like, it's kind of ingrained now. You think, please don't think it's a Muslim. Because you know what's going to come after. Everyone's going to hate, get these people out of the country, this, that. And it doesn't affect just Muslim, it affects every brown person.
What do you think of Dubai? Because a lot of people are hanging out there. Do you think the future's here in the UK? Or do you think people have got an alternative solution where they can hang out somewhere else?
There's an alternative solution for everyone. I think UK is on a downward trend. And Dubai, Middle East, even like Saudi, it's on an upward trend. They're more catered to like-minded people. So people only move to Dubai if they're either working or they've got a business. So it's like the ideal networking hub. And I think it's good to move there. The only thing, like, personally stopping me is my grandparents are old, so I wouldn't feel comfortable if something happened. I'm 10, 12 hours away. And I think that's the only kind of thing that's stopping me. Otherwise, like, I've spoken to my wife, like, we can move, and her parents are old as well. So you have to think about these things. And again, it's what's more important and what actually is wealth. It's health and family.
Yeah. Could you see yourself in the future moving out there though?
Yeah. I can see myself in Dubai. I can see myself retiring in Africa or a random place because I've got family in Africa and it's like the place to retire.
Whereabouts in Africa?
Zambia.
Zambia, okay.
And Zambia and Tanzania.
Right, okay. I've seen you on safari.
Yeah.
Is it around them areas or?
It's in Zambia.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the place to retire because you're surrounded by nature.
Yeah.
It's fresh. You get proper food, as in from farm to plate.
Wow. And does that taste different?
Tastes different, you feel different. So when I went last time in 2022, I've got like I've self-diagnosed as IBS. Whatever I eat, it just messes me up. When I was there, I was fine.
Wow.
As soon as I come back here, my stomach kind of just noticed that something's wrong, and the food here isn't the best in terms of quality-wise. But because from there, you're growing it in your farm, you're putting it on your plate.
Yeah.
You've got the goats and everything there, so you're putting that straight to your plate, literally from morning to evening. Whereas here, it goes through a whole process. And even the milk there is a lot stronger, a lot better.
What is Zambia like?
It's a third world country, so it's not like Dubai. It's full of nature, so you've got farmland around you. Where we live is like a complex, and you've got like a whole lot of families. So kind of like, you know, when you live in the villages in India, it's like that, but this is in the city. Business-wise, it's quite good. So all my families have different businesses there. Pharmaceuticals, farms. One of my uncles manages horses because he's into horses. And it's like a really calm, chill place. And it's like you're going back 100 years, but at the same time, it feels like in the near future, this is what people are going to want. And it's like a countryside in the city. You've got family around you. It's just
is it nice developed? Like, do you have developed roads and stuff?
Roads are developed. They've done a deal with India, and I think they've done a deal with China to develop roads. So roads are developed. the highway from literally east to west or north to south is literally one road either way. So it is a bit dangerous driving that night. It's not the safest place.
Why?
It's crime. It's a poor country, isn't it? So naturally,
Right.
poor country, there's going to be crime.
So if they know you're coming from the UK, would you be a target?
Yeah, so you don't go anywhere walking. You take the car everywhere.
Right.
But even when you're in the car, someone will like knock on your window. So, oh, there's something wrong with your back tire. You get out and they'll just nick the car. It's not as bad as South Africa, but you generally shouldn't go walking there. That's in Zambia, but in Tanzania you can go walking around
And the police?
bribed.
Corrupt.
Yeah.
Wow. So, last time you went there, you went to safari. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Safari's sick. We landed about 6 p.m. And then the next morning, 8 a.m., we set off on a 12-hour road trip all the way to the other end, sort of onto the border of Zambia and Malawi. And then we stayed in like a nice lodge. You've got like kitchen facilities. We took a chef with us. We took all the preparation, the food, everything. You're cooking there. And then you go out 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because that's when the animals come out before it gets too hot in the afternoon. And then you'll see your zebras, you see your giraffes, and you just see them in the normal wild state.
Do they notice you in the van?
Yeah, they do notice us. So we went to 2 different areas. So one is like a very touristy area. So you can get quite close to them. In fact, so there's Land Rovers without doors, and it's like a 15-seater basically. So we stopped, and there's a lion there. There's 3 lions there. So as we stopped, one line went this way, one line went round, and another one just followed that one. So they kind of circled us and then kind of went off.
And so they were able to lick you?
If they wanted to, yeah.
Wow.
But they don't really. The most dangerous animals, they say, is hippos.
Right.
Even though they'll probably look the kindest.
Yeah.
The second area we went to was an area where there was a lot of poaching. So we went there because there's a fishing thing nearby. So we thought we'll go fish there, and then we'll still go in the morning. But there's a lot of poaching. So the animals, when they see humans, they're on red alert. So we can't get as close to them. And the elephants, because apparently the elephants' tusks, they sell them for ivory. So there's a lot of like poaching for them as well. So the elephants would raise their trunk. That's one warning. They raise it a second warning, and then they'll charge at you.
Wow.
So sometimes what happens is they raise it twice, and then they get scared, thinking they might get shot, even though obviously we wouldn't do that. And then they turn away because they're very protective of their babies, their family.
Wow.
So it's quite interesting seeing the 2 different dynamics.
It's weird, like a wild animal, like they normally just see you as food and they don't attack you.
No, they don't attack us. Only like if they feel threatened, they'll attack us. In fact, they say, look, if a lion does run towards you, you just make yourself as big as possible, and then they might back off. But then we do have rangers. If we do get attacked, they'll have to shoot if they don't have a choice. But every time I've been there, we've not got attacked. In fact, we saw a lion kill a buffalo for food. So that was like an amazing experience. That's like once in a lifetime.
Wow.
And you see how it's done like strategically. You've got the buffalo there. You've got one lion chasing this way, so the buffalo runs that way. Another lion's waiting. Buffalo runs that way. Third one grabs them.
Wow.
So it's like planned.
They say the women, the lionesses hunt.
Good question. Generally, yeah. I think this time...
It was the males?
I think the male was the last one. I think the woman did the chasing. And then the male was the last one. And they
Suffocate them.
Yeah, they bite them in the neck. And buffaloes are like 1 ton at least. They're massive animals. So.
Yeah. But these lions are like 300 kilos as well, no?
Yeah. But the buffaloes, if they wanted to, they can take on the lion. So that's why the lion try and get 3 or 4 to attack one
Numbers
buffalo.
game. Yes, yeah. And did you see them eating it fresh meat?
Yeah, we saw them eating it. And that's like once in a lifetime.
Did you smell it?
No, we couldn't smell it, surprisingly. But the buffalo fell in a ditch. So we saw that, and it was dark. It was after sunset, so it's quite dark, but we had the flashlights. So the buffalo fell in a ditch, and then every day we'd go there, and that's where we see the lion. So they're there until about 3-4 days. They finish the carcass, and then they kind of make their own way.
Okay, nice. All right. Well, I know we've drifted off a little bit, but let's go back to South Bank Uni. So you're doing your degree now, and yeah, so you chose accounting and finance.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to become either a lawyer or an accountant, but I didn't know what an accountant does. I just knew it was a numbers game and I was good at maths. So then I studied it first year, bunked pretty much all the lectures. I thought this is so easy. And then second year went in a bit and I think I done fine. Like, I can't remember what I ended up with. And then third year I concentrated properly. Ended up with a 2-1. I think I was like 10 marks away from my first,
Wow.
12 marks away from first. But ended
Well
up with
done.
2-1. And then it was like, okay, cool. What happens now? And I think it was at that point I'm like, okay, this system's rigged because I've got a uni, I've got a degree. No one at uni has said, okay, you can start applying to this, you can start applying to that. And in college, we were always pushed, go to uni, go to uni, go to uni. And then when I got like my third year timetable, basically I was going in 12 hours a week every day. And first year, 12 hours a week every year for 6 months. I'm like, this can actually be crammed in a 1-year crash course, but then obviously they only get 1-year fees. I thought, okay, this is all rigged. The system's rigged. And that's like the first time I was like, okay, this isn't. Shouldn't have gone uni, but I ended up with exemptions for my ACCA, which I still haven't finished. And my dad won't like me hearing that, or my dad wouldn't like hearing that. And then I went out. I thought, cool, let me look for jobs. Didn't get grad jobs. I don't know why. Two of my friends got grad jobs quite early. There was a group of 4 of us. One got it a bit later. One got it early. 2 got it later. I was the last one. I didn't get a job for a year and a half. So at that time I used to ask my dad, okay, cool, can I come work for you? He's like, nope, because you need experience in the real world before coming to work for me. Because then I'll pick up bad habits. I'll get lazy. Whereas if I've got someone else as a boss, then I wouldn't be as lazy. My back will be up. I'll be working properly. So
up until this stage, did you have any experience in any other jobs?
yeah, I've done Next, especially in Excel, and actually in uni I used to work at Wilkinson.
Closed down now.
Yeah, it's closed down. The East Ham one.
Yeah.
And then so I used to finish uni 6 o'clock. I used to start PM till 11 PM, and then some days I'll just take extra shifts. So my grandparents live nearby, so I used to stay at their house, go back, work 8 AM, do another shift until 6, or sometimes I'll do on a weekend I'll just do 8 AM to 11 PM. So I do Wilco. I've done Next. I've done catering at Wembley Stadium, Emirates Stadium during events. I've done a lot during uni and after uni as well. I've done a lot of eBaying, buying and selling goods. So my mum used to hate it. I used to just order job lots and wholesale stuff of anything I found value in.
What did you normally buy?
Clothes. I had a period where, do you know during the Olympics there was a 50p coin and they used to have the Olympic sports on.
Yeah.
I used to go to the bank with a £20 note so I can have the Olympic coins, and I'll sell the Olympic coins at like £3-4.
Really?
Yeah, so that's like a
So you
good
sold
margin.
50p's for £2.50 profit.
Yeah, at least. And people used to buy them from abroad. So I used to add money on the postage and stuff like that. So I make a bit more of a margin. Phones, I don't know if I already said that. They're the kind of 3 main things. And phone cases I used to buy. And you used to get them lanyards with like football teams on it. I used to buy and sell them as well. So they're the kind of main, but anything I could find value in. And then apprentice pens, during the apprentice, while they was going on, I bought like a box of 20 for like 30 quid. And I used to sell them at £10-15. I'm like, this is sick.
And people just used to buy it. How did you know people would buy that?
I didn't. I just guessing it. It's a guessing game. I would just like think, okay, there's a trend. Someone might want an apprentice pen. So I'll put 1 or 2 online and then I'll kind of sell it.
Where did these ideas get inspired from? Why did you want to make money? Why did you want to buy this? The headache of buying it, repackaging it, going to the post office, send it back out, and then you'll get a couple of quid at the end of it. Like, what inspired all of that?
I always used to see, like, it goes back to my parents. I see them working hard. My dad used to sell phone cards as well. So I used to go with him and I used to, hey, I'm sitting in the car, I'm 13, 14 years old. He's probably doing a deal in the shop, in the newsagent, selling phone cards, and I'm just sitting there half an hour, 45 minutes, because obviously parking's a problem, you get a ticket. Otherwise, sometimes I'll go in with him, but I didn't really understand. But I remember once, I must have been 7, 8 years old. I used to say to him, I know how businesses make money. They buy something and then they sell it for cheaper because the product which is the cheapest would buy it, not thinking in my head, okay, that's a loss. But then after a while, it's like, okay, cool. If you buy multiple things at a cheaper price and then sell each one individually for more, then you make money and that's profit. And I think I never wanted to be like dependent. So even if I make £30 a week and that covered my travel card into uni, or make £50 and that covers my food, that kind of just makes me, okay, I'm still living under my parents' roof, but I'm still dependent in a way. So that kind of helped me as well.
You didn't want to be a burden on your parents,
Yeah.
even though you're in the same house. You're like, I don't need to ask you guys for money. I can make my own money.
Yeah. So I just make 30, 40, 50, 60 quid a week, whatever it was, some days more, some days less. And then I used to manage it. I used to sell products on behalf of people as well, because I used to have a good eBay account. And then,
So you was now the broker.
yeah, pretty much. And I used to make a cut from there. So you kind of just pick up things as well. And then I think when you're, because back then we didn't have social media. We had Google, but no, we had Ask Jeeves. We didn't have Google. We had Ask Jeeves and Yahoo. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So even then you're Googling things, but I never Googled business idea. I would just like scroll eBay. This is selling, this is selling, this is selling. Okay, cool. And you could see on eBay that, for example, this pen, there's 200 available, 500 have been sold. I said, okay, cool. This is selling. So if I can buy it cheaper and I can sell it cheaper, then it's worth it for me.
So how did that Zaid of buying and selling on eBay ended up having a big location in Stratford with High Castle Estate?
So then from there, I didn't get a job for 18 months after uni. Then a friend of mine said, look, there's a job going in this estate agency. Do you want to work there? I said, yeah, cool. I'll do the accounts. I was earning £700 a month, doing 11 to 5 and then 11 to 4, so 5 hours a day, and then 10 to 4. And then I done the accounts, which I wasn't very experienced in. Actually, I had a bit of experience because I worked for free for about 9 months for an accounting firm. And I left because he just said, oh, he wasn't paying me, so I thought, sod it. But I learned valuable stuff. I learned about VAT, I learned about accounts, self-employed accounts, company accounts, just how to manage the basics. But that's what you need. You need to know the basics. And then I kind of helped that company turn its back office around, like helped it get organized, sorted the accounts out, providing the accounts to the directors on a monthly basis, managing their emails, and basically took a load off. And then after about 2 years there, I was like, I can just start my own company. Like, I'm young, I don't have responsibilities, I can take the risk now, or I can not take the risk and then think 10 years, I should have taken the risk. So even if I fail, I'm only falling one step. I'm not falling 10 steps down because I'm not at that stage of my life or that stage of my career. So then me and a few friends, we opened a rent to rent, as it's called now. We just call it HMO Rooms. But we focused in Tower Hamlets and we'll just rent out rooms. And then I remember the first property we took was in Bermondsey, and I was like, this is sick. I was paying, I think, £1,800 rent. We rented the 4 rooms combined for about 2.8, and the bills were about 300 or 400. So we're making what? I think it was about 400, 500, 600. I can't, but that's what we're making. The second house was in Hackney, and it was 3,333 was the rent. I just remember it was an odd figure. There were 7 rooms, and when I worked it out, it was like we were clearing 5.5, and the bills would be, okay, big house 700. We were clearing 1,500. I'm like, this is sick. So in 2 properties, I'm making £2,000, and then we took on the 3rd and the 4th, so I started paying myself, I think it was £600, and at each property we took on, I paid myself £100, £100, £100. But I kept some of the money, I just kept in the business. We did it as a few friends. We got up to a stage of about 30 properties.
Wow.
So we were clearing about 15 grand a month, I would say. And then Brexit happened. And then no one wanted rooms because no one knew what was going on. And then from there, we're guaranteeing the rent. So we kind of, like, our profits were decreasing. Our void periods were increasing because a lot of people were renting to her from abroad, and no one knew what Brexit meant because no one expected it to happen. So people were like, do we come into the country? Do we not come into the country? But that company's still there. And then over time, I've streamlined it. So we only manage a handful of properties now. But it keeps it ticking, clears 2.5, 3 grand. Just keeps, and I think that's the main thing. And then once I have a bit of time, I'll just start adding to it a bit more. So I was there for about until 2017, and in that time, my dad's like, "Okay, cool, come on board," because my dad was managing investments for people, and then he used to give the properties out to other agencies, and then he used to get. That's when the HMOs start coming in, and then you used to get enforcement after enforcement. So then he told my brother, who was 21, he goes, "Why don't you manage it?" So my brother would help him manage the properties. That's when Hyatt Castle started. So it wasn't me; it was my brother. And then this office, the one you've come to a few times in Stratford, that's where that came available, and we know the landlord, so he offered it to us. So my dad's like sat us down and said, "Look, there's this opportunity that's come. Do you want the office? Do you not want the office? But if we do take the office, that's when I would come on board." So that's when we agreed, okay, like, I'll come on board. I will get the office set up, and that was like my first big project to turn the office around. And at that time, we were only managing like our own properties and a few like family friends. So we had about 30 properties. So it was a risk taken. But my dad's always about long term, and that's why I've got my long term vision in place. So I'm not thinking, okay, tomorrow, the day after. I'm thinking, okay, in 5 years, in 10 years. So 5 years now down the line, we've won Stratford, best agency in Stratford, 4 years running.
Wow.
We've opened another office in Ilford. We've got our social housing office, which manages your property, in Plaistow. So they're the 3 offices we do, or we have. And we manage about, all in all, touching 400 now, maybe a bit more than that, properties. And we're selling, of course.
Wow. How do you grow this business? So you open up High Castle. How do you get known as the agent in that area? Because there's quite a few agents down that road.
Yeah, there's loads, man. I think first thing is you've got to have good customer service, because other agents, they don't have good. Some other agents don't have good customer service. They won't respond. And one thing I instill in my team is good customer service is one. The second thing is systems. You have to have systems in your business, like regardless. And I've always been big on softwares, and like right now we're introducing 2 new systems. One for customer service, like just a ticketing portal, and one a CRM where we can make sure we keep track. So we're just upgrading our CRM basically. We've got a team of about 15, maybe 13. We just recruited 3 people this week.
Wow.
And having the right systems helps me to focus on what I need to do in terms of growing the business. And I think that's important because I can't be stuck doing the valuations. Like even when we met, I didn't do the viewings. I probably didn't negotiate the rent. I met you once or twice, and that's my PR. Like, this is me, this is what we do. And that's how we kind of got to know each other. And that's kind of my role. I need to start and build these relations. So I'll still get the leads. People message me saying, "Oh, I want to sell this property." No problem. I'll have an initial 15-minute call. Cool, this is what I think it's worth. Pane will deal with it. Nabil will deal with it. Whoever will deal with it. And we'll take it from there. But systems is key, I think, and customer service.
What is the current, like, how do you keep up with the current trends in the market? What's happening?
You obviously like have to read the news. Like obviously we had the whole interest rate rise that affected buyers because everyone was used to like 1%, 2% interest rates, and then all of a sudden it went to 6, 7%, and now it's slightly dropped. And I think I'm lucky to be in a position where I know quite a few people, so I can pick up the phone to a lot of people saying, and we probably had this conversation as well, saying interest rates have gone up. What does that mean? So it'll affect the buyers because buyers, obviously, their monthly repayments have gone up. So they're lost a bit of confidence. Their affordability has been affected. And then you kind of have to position yourself in a way that when you're talking to potential clients, you have to give them the long-term picture, saying, look, this is how it's going to be in the next 3-4 years, at least, because we've had these low rates for a very long time, and it can't be like that forever. So they've obviously had to go up, and inflation's had to go up, and we're in a whole cost of living crisis, and another reason Britain's in a downward spiral and a downward trend. But you have to learn, pick up the phone to people like yourself, other investors, other landlords, see where their heads at. Some are panicky naturally. Some who know how economics work, like yourself, you're like, okay, cool, they've gone up. This is what I'm going to do. Some people are like, yeah, I'm going to hold, but as soon as a good deal comes up, I've got cash ready. Some investors were, here, I've got 6 properties, I want to sell them because I know good deals are going to come due to repos. I'm going to snap them up straight away. So you kind of have to keep yourself educated, speak to people, and that's how we kind of keep track of trends.
Interesting. What about for people who are renting properties? Have you seen them applicants come in and struggle to meet, the rental demand? Because obviously, if interest rates are going up, landlords are demanding more money on the rent as well, especially newer landlords, because they're going, I don't have enough money to cover my mortgage. So it drives up some of the rents. Are people able to afford these?
Do you know when we came into the, or not we, because we were born here, but our parents came to the country, and some of them would live like one family per room. It's going back to that stage, and obviously you've got the whole HMO licensing and that. So that's how people are affording the rent. So you'll get 2-3 people who are on a good income, and they'll put down an offer 3,000 for 4-bed in Forest Gate, unheard of. And then they'll sublet it within themselves, within their families, and they'll have like 10-15 people in a house paying the rent. And that's the only way a lot of people can afford it. Some people can afford it, obviously, like 2-bed flats, 3-bed flats. But we're seeing the bigger houses, 4, 5, 6 beds. That's what's happening. And I find it crazy that basically it feels like UK has taken a backward step. But then again, that's how the economy works, and it goes in cycles. So we had the recession in, when was it? 2008. We had one in 1991 or something like that.
Yeah.
And every time there's a recession, 3-4 years after, property prices double in certain areas. Like look at Leighton, 250. You'll get a house in 2007 before the first recession. Now you'll be lucky to get a house 750. That's 15 years. Prices have tripled.
Wow. Where do you see, so you're one of your main offices in Stratford. Where do you see Stratford going?
Stratford's a weird market, man, because you come out of station, you've got high rises, 3 beds there are selling 800,000, 900,000. We just listed one 3-bed for, I think it was 800 we listed it for, just Legacy Tower, so literally where you park outside Stratford station. And then you've got 2-bed houses at 425,000, and then you've got decent, like just where my office is, you've got decent 3-bed houses going at 600, 650. So it's like a very weird range. But what we've noticed is you're getting a lot of foreign investors, and this has been going on for time, but they would invest in Canary Wharf before. They're now putting their money in flats in Stratford. I don't know why they invest in this. It's like one of the worst investments you can get. But they're investing there. Maybe because they just feel it's JLL and it's safe and it's outside Stratford station. We're seeing people from Hackney, Angel, Islington selling up 2-bed flats at 700, 600, buying 3-bed houses, kind of evolving their family in Stratford or back end of Forest Gate, like Capel Roadside, where near Beverly Hills, basically. And then you're seeing first-time buyers buying flats, like ground floor of your one, for example, at 300. And people are thinking, you know what, Stratford's a decent place, it's a good commute, Elizabeth Line. So you're getting first-time buyers buying there. We're seeing that shift going towards Forest Gate as well, like first-time buyers trying to buy flats. But then we're also seeing, and this has been the case for years, like Asian families getting help from their parents, and then they're buying like a standard 3-bed for that 450, 475. So it is an interesting market, but it's like no 2 roles are the same.
Do you feel that Article 4 Have you seen that in the area? Like the impact of it? Like on landlords go, this is terrible because it means that this 3-bedroom house with double reception, I can't turn it into a 5-bed HMO. That would earn me a lot more money. But obviously the council says we want Article 4 here because we want more families living next to each other, more community feels. Do you feel there's more community with that legislation that's been there since it's been about over 10 years now?
No, not really. I don't think there's more of a community feel. I think there's pockets of that people trying to make a change within the councils and politically, and you can see like where Maryland is. There's a small group of people, but we're not seeing families come in. But what we're seeing is, like I said before, you're seeing 2-3 people renting a big 3-4 bed house, and they're just moving their family in. And councils, the issue is that councils don't give proactive advice to combat the situation. They give a threat to fine straight away. So as a landlord, a lot of landlords don't like speaking to council. They're like, oh, if I tell them, then they're just gonna fine me. Because if a council is trying to help a situation, what they would do is they'll send a letter saying, look, this is what you need to do. Give us a call if you need help. What they do is they send a letter saying, this is what you need to do. If you don't do it, you're getting fined £30,000. So there's 2 different ways of wording something. And because of that, you're still getting these 3 beds, 4 beds, 5 beds as HMOs, but they're just not like multi-lets. They're just not HMOs at the same time because people are just living 10, 12, 15 people in a house.
And what's the worst case scenario have you seen that a council has come in, and have you actually seen the council fine a person or individual for breaching?
You know, recently one of our landlords, we don't manage his property, he got fined by the council because his tenant sublet. So we're kind of fighting the case for him, saying the tenants have sublet. They've not told him. He's done inspections there, but they've kind of just packed all the shoes away, as they do, and make it look like a family house. They know what to say because the tenants are subletting. They know what to say. Oh yeah, it's just my brother visiting. It's just my mum and dad living with me, or whatever it is. We're still family. We're quite on it in terms of the council. So luckily, we've not had a situation where one of our landlords has been fined, and I think that helps in terms of having family in property investment because you can learn and you know their pain points. And one of our first pain points was that our own properties were getting notices from the council. So we've not had a situation where one of our properties have got fined, but this is just a recent one that's come up where this landlord's properties got fined because the tenants have sublet, but the council know the landlord's got more money from the tenant, and the tenant can just basically go back home. So we'll find the landlord instead. It's all the system's rigged, man.
There's some bad estate agents out there.
Yeah.
And some of them actually set up drug houses.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've had situations.
Yeah. So they set up drug houses. They'll give you rent guarantee. And then at the end of it, when the police raids it, they'll put a contract that somebody else is renting this. And it's like they've got away with it. Have you heard about any of that or come across that?
There's a car wash where I go to fairly regularly, and they said, I'll pay you 10 grand a month, give us a house. 10 grand a month is a lot. Obviously, I said no. Anyone doubting. We've had cases where, I'll give you a story. So there was a property we sublet to another company, and they've got a few of our properties, they manage it fine. And this one, they're like 2 young boys, they came to me and said, we've got a problem, and their faces were like white. It's like someone died. That's what happened. This house, someone's turned into a weed house. I said, okay, cool, what have you done? Because we don't know what to do. I said, okay, cool, no problem. Got someone in there, change the locks. Call the cops. Nothing. For some reason, they're just like, okay, cool. They'll come after 4 weeks. By that time, you think the landlord's got time to wait 4 weeks? We just got builders in there, knocked it, turned it around, and we re-rented it to a family. But it happens a lot. It happens to a lot of landlords I know, and sometimes it is their fault because with landlords sometimes they're just penny pinching, and if someone offers them £100, £200 more, they think, okay, cool, I'll take it. Some of them get probably offered £500, £600 more, but they're meant to think, is this product really worth that much? Is it not too good to be true? So you'd rather get like good, decent people in rather than giving it to an unknown and have a weed house. But there have been situations where properties have been turned in, and you see the foil, you see the pipes, you see walls broken down, holes everywhere, and police don't do nothing. One landlord, he's quite a big landlord as well. He called the police. All they said, "Oh, there's a contract in place. Cool, nothing we can do." And the contract's always in place with someone who's left the country.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do anything. They've just got paperwork.
Some estate agents, they'll give your property back. You ask for your property back and they go, no, we've let it out. So we go, well, we've got a guaranteed rent agreement. My agreement's with you. I'd like my property back. Here's your 2 months notice. And they said, well, the tenants are not going to move out. We can't get rid of them.
Do you know what? We've had a lot of that recently because of a lot of landlords not want their property back. They want an increase in rent. But because we give it to some of the properties to the council, we can't get an increase in rent. But it's quite straightforward. Good contacts with solicitors, speak to them, they'll file the paperwork, and I've just got to tell. So if you come to me and say, look, I want an increase in rent from example 1,700 to 2,000, fine, we need to get the tenants out, and then it comes about customer service. So you manage expectations. We can give them 2 month notice, but if you give them 2 months notice, the council will basically tell them don't move out. So what we'll do is we'll speak to solicitors. It will cost you £1,500 roughly. They'll do the top case top to bottom. Might take 6 months, might take 9 months. But after the £1,500, we'll get your rent increase. So we've managed your expectations. We've told you what we're going to do. We've told you the cost. And after paying £1,500, you're getting an extra £300 in your pocket per month. So it's a no-brainer, really. That's a return of investment in 5 months.
What if a landlord just wants his property back?
We'll do the same thing. But we'll tell the landlord as well. And we're actually in the process of changing our contracts, saying that you have to follow the statutory procedure because it's not as simple as going in there changing the locks, because you just can't do that. Before you could kind of get away with it, but now you can't do that.
And what's the social housing aspect of the business? So how does that work? Who am I renting my property to if I'm going through you and you said I've got a social housing tenant? What does that mean?
What do you think of when you hear social housing?
Somebody is on social security. The government gives them money and they need help. And
What's
the government...
profile of person that you think of? Someone who's not working?
Maybe someone who's not working, or maybe a single parent who needs some help. That's what I think, yeah.
So a lot of the times when we speak to landlords, they're like, no, I don't want social housing. They don't work. They're lazy. You know, we've got teachers on social housing. We've got nurses on social housing because the rents have gone so high. So we would basically tell the council, we've got number 1 Upton Lane available. It's a 3-bed house. Do you have anyone? They said, yeah, we've got this couple with 2 kids and this is the rate. And then we'll give it to them. And it's as simple as that. If you have studios and 1 beds, most of the time you'll get single females, single males. And there's a lot of the single males have either just come out of prison and they need an address. So I don't know if you know, but when I spoke to the council, this was about 2 years ago. So Newham Council, they had about 22,000 homeless people on their list. And he said to me that they have more homeless people than Manchester, Liverpool and Leeds combined.
Wow.
That's crazy when you think about it. That's 3 cities, major cities as well. So they need to turn around properties quickly and give properties to these homeless people. So a lot of the time it's just people who can't afford the rent. They need housing. It could be a disabled person. Sometimes we need to give it to a ground floor, give it to a person who needs a ground floor bathroom. Sometimes, yeah, it's ex-cons. And the way I always say it's like a normal tenant. 95% are fine. 5% is going to mess you over. But that's just not just tenants. That's in every business. 95% of customers are fine, and it's the 5% that will give you a headache.
Yeah. Do the councils put your property right if there's any damage to it?
We have to do that. But that's fine because most of the time it's just a lick of paint and maybe flooring that needs changing. Because we do regular inspections for social housing, like literally minimum every 2 months. We'll check it, we'll speak to the tenants, make sure everything's fine. And because we're always doing maintenance, we're always in the area. So we do social housing all around London, not just East London.
Right.
So someone's always in north, someone's always in south, someone's always in west, someone's always in east.
And you do that on behalf of your landlord, or is it a cost to the landlord?
At the end of the property, it'll be on behalf of the landlord. Because the way we look at it is we've made our money,
Yeah.
and it's the tenants that have caused the damage. Unless it's like fair wear and tear, then it's fine. But if the tenants have caused certain damage, then we'll get it fixed, give it back to the landlord.
And at the end of it, in terms of a landlord getting his property back, is that something you can easily do if there's a social tenant in there?
Sometimes, so we would have a conversation with tenants. Before, we used to be able to relocate, but the homeless list apparently has gone sky high. So now councils are saying you cannot relocate. So then we have to apply to the courts. And that process recently has been a bit quicker than usual. So we're getting court dates within, like recently we just got a court date in April for June. So 2 months, which is not bad. Like before, we used to get it after 6 months. And then obviously we get the bailiffs in and stuff like that.
And probably because of COVID and stuff, there was quite a big backlog, no?
And the court system's rubbish. Imagine, they sent us a letter for a tenant dated 8th of May. Court date was in 8th of April. The possession was granted for 23rd of April, something like that. How can you send us a letter afterwards saying, oh yeah, you should have got your property back 2 weeks ago?
System's a bit broken, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a broken system.
Where do you see the market going? Because house prices are going up and up. Wages are not increasing as fast as what rents are going up. What do you see happening?
House prices will always go up. That's just the trend. It's been like, if you bought a house in Forest Gate at 50,000 in 1990, that house is worth 500,000 now. So house prices will always go up, rents will always go up, and wages are not meeting that level. So I think it's more coming down to how the people or the buyer wants to be able to finance their houses, in terms of, are they going to get a better job? Are they just going to stay stagnant? Are they going to move out to a cheaper area? Example, up north where you can pick up a house 120, 130, 150,000, 200,000. So I think with that situation, I think that's where it depends on the buyer, but you're always going to get property investors buying.
So here's the million dollar question: is me as an investor right now who's been investing, that old model of buying a house, giving it to a box standards agent who charges his fee, it's just broken right now. You know, it's like, hey, I've bought this house for $500,000. I've put 150,000 down, got a loan for maybe 350. My mortgage is about 1,400, and I'm going to rent it for two grand. I'm going to make maybe 400 or 500 quid out of 6 grand a year. It's going to take me 20 years to get my sort of won't even get my money back. So what is the quirky things that landlords and investors are doing now? Where is that market to make some sort of money?
The first question we always ask the investors, what are your goals? What do you want? Some of them say, I just want to kick back and relax. I want no headache. There's an option for them. Okay, cool. We'll give you guaranteed rent. You'll get your rent on time. Some say, no, I want to maximize my money. I want to sweat that asset. That's when the model of, okay, you can do Airbnb. And this is a company that we work with. Do Airbnb, maximize your income, but know that there's going to be voids. The income isn't guaranteed. And then there's also, we can introduce you to, if you have the appetite to other property investors who then build a development together and one person's a project manager. So JVs basically. There's that option. And have you had Motiul Islam on the podcast?
No.
You need to get him on because he's like full of these quirky things. He does something called vendor finance, which I still don't understand how it works. But basically, he would help. He helps the vendor get out of a sticky situation. But not all of his money's in, and he gets the money afterwards. And there's also like other options like buying commercial subject to planning, get planning, flipping it. Like there was one in Forest Gate where a buyer bought like a little bit of land for 200,000. He got planning, flipped it for 900,000.
Wow.
Who now the developer, who I know, developed it, and is selling it for about 3 point something.
Wow.
But obviously he's had to put whatever his cost was. I don't know what his cost was. So his margin, he makes less money and less margin than the geezer who made, just say, cleared 600 net, whatever his planning costs were. So that's a good model as well, which people don't think about. But again, it's about knowing the right people, speaking to the right agents. And I think that's where I have a small little understanding of property investment, or little compared to you guys. But again, because I'm speaking to people, I know these things happen and I know these kind of deals happen. So it's about putting yourself out there. Then you speak to architects. Okay, I've got this land. What can I do? Imagine I saw an auction a land for £10,000 in the middle of nowhere. So I thought, should I buy it? It's 10 bags. I asked my dad. He goes, yeah, buy it. So I thought, hang on, let me speak to an architect. So what can I, like, in that area? So I can't remember which area. It was like maybe Nottingham or Northamptonshire. Spoke to the architect. He said, no, you can't do nothing. So then it's like, okay, cool. It's no point me buying it. But if he then said, no, you can get a barn house or whatever it was in that area, you can get planning for it and you can sell it for, the end value will be 600,000. Then I'll be like, okay, cool, it's worth it. Because then I can make that 10,000 go to 100,000 by spending £5,000 on planning. So I think that's a new thing that, not a new thing, but a lot of people are starting to do.
Mm-hmm. And are there any special platforms to find like land for sale or anything?
Drive around, get to know the area. That's one way. There's property data, which I use, which gives you like a lot of data on the land in the area. There was another one, land. I think it's called Landsec, something like that.
And do you like write
Nimbus
letters?
planning.
Which one?
Nimbus map. Sorry.
Okay. And do you like see the owner of the land and you can maybe write them a letter and say, are you interested in selling, or is that old school now?
No, it's not old school. It still works because when you see it physically, you're inclined. Like that's why you've got paper next to you, not on your phone. Mm-hmm. But you find the owner, just stalk them on social media. Everyone's on Facebook, LinkedIn. That's how we even get our vendor leads. We find them on. Like, I'll show you my LinkedIn. Literally, we're messaging people. I've got it on auto. I've automated it. I've got a company running it in the background. They'll find Sean Land owns this property. Let's find him on LinkedIn. We'll message him on LinkedIn. Like, you have to do that. Sometimes it's, sometimes if you Google a property address, it will come up with a business name. For example, number 1 Upton Lane. Oh, there's a physiotherapist. Then it's so easy. Go on the Instagram and message him. Like, you have to think outside the box.
It's power of social media.
Yeah.
Do you think AI will ever replace like agents?
If I tell you my whole lettings is, I run my lettings out of the UK. I don't run it in the UK. I don't have a lettings neg. But we don't use AI for that. But I'm sure there's a way that letting agents can be replaced by AI. Nothing's impossible. Sales agents, maybe not this generation, maybe 2 generations down, when the generations become a lot more tech savvy and they don't want to view the property, they will have all these data points and metrics, and they can just look at a property on the phone and say, yep, that's good for me. I don't need to see it. But yeah, definitely. Why not? You have to be forward thinking though.
Does that ever scare you?
No, we had to adapt. In COVID, we had to adapt. We didn't have social housing before COVID. So when COVID hit, obviously we were thinking, what's going to happen? No business, rents might struggle, no sales. Luckily, 1-2 days before lockdown, I spoke to an agent. I spoke to someone in the council. He goes, "Yeah, we need properties." Literally messaging him, got his WhatsApp, messaging him every day. Here, got this property, got this property, got this property. To the extent that we had landlords from North London messaging us saying, "No one's renting properties. This property is empty. Got mortgages to pay." Even though they had the mortgage holiday, but people are still worried, naturally anxious that their assets empty. So we had to adapt, and that's how we introduced social housing. And that's how I met Ish, Ramiz, and everything as well. Oh, I met Ramiz before, but Ish and everything, who you speak to quite regularly. And then, like that, we built a social housing team. So you have to adapt.
Yes, for sure. So anybody who says, like, devil's advocate here, I don't need an agent to sell my property, and on all these groups you find deal sources now. What's the difference? Like, do you find competition with deal sources? How are they able to get deals that you're not? And, what's the trade-off here?
If someone's doing full-time deal sourcing and they're finding deals that we're not, no problem. We'll find them a buyer as well. Split the fee. We've done it before. Do you need an agent to sell your home? No. But especially now with social media, less and less agents are using the main portals to sell their home in terms of Rightmove, Zoopla on the market. Like, we're still on it because a lot of vendors still expect it. But we've sold houses through Instagram. We've done viewings through Instagram. And I haven't done it for a long time actually. I'll put it on Twitter. 3-bed house in Ilford selling for 500,000, 550,000. Just put a picture at the front. And you just get comment after comment saying, "This is a rubbish place. Who wants to live in Ilford?" But what does comments do to the algorithm?
Sends it up further.
Then people message, "I want to see this house." And like that, you're getting people viewing that. But I think over time, you can, put your house on social media, definitely, and it will sell. Right now, if you put a board up outside your property and you're in a decent area, someone's going to knock on the door and say, "I'll buy it." Like, if you see something in your area that you think, "You know what, this is a good deal," you'll buy it. If it's a really nice property where the end user is the owner occupier and he's targeted, maybe you need an agent for that. But even then, you put a board up selling this house, you put it on social media, you can put it on Facebook groups, you put it in Nextdoor app, you can put it in so many different places. This house is selling, people will buy it. The main thing is you generate a good marketing system. So whether you're selling one house or 100 houses, you have to have a good marketing, lead nurturing, lead generation system.
Have you ever heard this phrase? And you probably might not like it, but there's some people out there that say, "Oh, all agents are dogs. They'll sell you anything and everything. They'll lie to you or give you a property in a bad condition." What do you say to that?
I'm in it for the long term. So whether I want to run this business for 20 years or prime it for exit and sell the business, we're in it for the long term. So I know if I do you over, I guarantee if the property you bought off me was a rubbish deal and you weren't getting your rent on time, we would not be sitting here today and you wouldn't come to my office. I guarantee that. And we've seen other houses. I've showed you a few other houses as well. So we're in it for the long term. We're in it to build relationships. And we're not here to do anyone over. If you're in it for the short term, naturally you're going to, well, not naturally, but some people are just inclined to do them over, do the investors over, do the landlords over. That's just how they are. But we take pride in what we do. You've come to our office. We take pride in that. You get your statements every month. You know when there's a maintenance work. You get the phone call. You get the email. You get everything. And main thing is you're getting your rent on time.
Mm-hmm. So
probably once you've messaged saying, "Oh, I didn't get rent for one of the flats." I'm like, "Oh, oversight. You got it in 5 minutes."
Yeah, and that was all good
And
anyway.
That's system.
It was just like, I think it was a bank holiday or something, so it was all understandable. Knowing what you know now, what advice are you giving to a first-time buyer or somebody investing for the very first time?
Somebody investing for the first time, I would say, know what you want out of it. So do you just want passive income? Because you might be investing because you want to be, I don't know, to another business on the side and you just want someone taken over. So know what you want first, and then make relationships with agents, make relationships with investors, and just speak to people. People are afraid to speak to people. I don't know why. Just speak to people. Pick up the phone and ask someone, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Can you introduce me to someone? Oh, Sean, can you introduce me to someone who's done HMO rooms or who's done Airbnb? And you would say, either I can help you with that or I know so and so. So expand your network. To a first time buyer, get your finances in order. Know what you want to buy, know which areas you're looking in, know what's important to you in terms of, do you want a school nearby? Do you want your parents nearby? Do you just want a station nearby? What you want? And then get a feel of that area. If you're a first time buyer looking to live in, that is. And then, yeah, just place offers. What's the harm? How much does it cost you to place an offer? It doesn't. Just place an offer. You never know. You might get a good deal out of it, or you might find the house of your dreams. You don't know. But keep looking.
Is there anything good that somebody can do to negotiate a better price on a house when they're buying it to live in?
Yeah, speak to me. No, but people have messaged me or call me and say, listen, I've got this property and I want to see what the best price I can get. And I'll just say, look, what's your budget? Budget's 500. How much is the property on for? 525. Okay, cool. Offer them 450, see what they say. Offer them 460, see what they say. That's how you got your property. You offered lower. Just offer them, like, what's the worst someone's going to say? F off. Okay, cool. Why should that hurt you? Just offer them a bit lower and just take it from there. Like, get the vendor to meet you at your price. I shouldn't be saying this because the vendors are going to be like, what the hell? But even for the vendors, though, we do the same thing. Okay, the vendor wants 500,000. Can you meet it? The deal's off. Simple as that. You just got to negotiate. But do you find people are scared to put offers in, or people are scared to negotiate? Like, people are scared of a pushback or no or rejection.
I think sometimes the deal sourcer or sometimes even the agent will go, oh, that's a bit low. They're going to think you're a bit silly. Like, I have heard of that, but I feel that sometimes it feels like you're under pressure to be closest as possible to that number.
Just tell the deal sourcer they think you're silly, not me. They don't know me. But also, it's the deal sourcer's job to get it for as cheap as possible. That's where deal sourcer is a new term.
Yeah.
The main thing is you know how to package a deal and you know how to sell it to an investor. And how you know to sell it to investors, you need to know what their goal is. If someone says, I just want a standard buy to let, I want a 6% return, just show them that property. If someone says, I want something where I can develop, add a loft in, add value, flip it, extra 100,000, you show them that property. But you have deal sources creating WhatsApp groups or what do you call it, broadcasts, and just send anything and everything. Like, I tell someone I'm looking for HMO in East London, send me something in West London. I know you didn't say West London, but are you interested in this? No, because I said East London. Like, you got to know your customer, you got to know your client. And I think that laziness and customer service creeps in.
Yeah, it's true. The thing about, sort of some of the deal sources is they put a bloody big drink in there as well, you know that. And sometimes, and I've actually heard somebody go, here's this list of deals, everything's here, we need the money up front now.
I've had that, not recently. Yeah, recently. People are saying, I want the source of money up front. I said, no. I'm like, why? You've not done no work. Instructing solicitors means nothing. What if something fails down the line? What if searches come back bad? Anything can happen.
Tell me something about searches. If you're buying a property and it's going for really, really cheap and they're pushing you to complete within 7 days as a cash buyer, but you then say, well, do you have the searches? Because I know they're valid for about 3 months or so. Can we buy the searches off you? And they say, we haven't done the searches. You need to do the searches yourself.
Yeah.
But you can get some sort of indemnity insurance for your searches. What's the risk of buying a property without doing the searches?
It depends. It depends on the location, to be honest. Like, if you know the location, most of the time, not much. But I think the main thing is the planning aspect. Because where you've got enforcements in place.
Yeah.
Or you've got, like, your intention example is to do a loft and extension, but they have to break down an extension. Or HMO enforcement, you can't turn it into HMO. It's more stuff like that. That's the risk you have in place. But you can buy searches now. Like you get it within 3 days yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't remember the company name. I'll send it to you once I remember. Express Legal, I think. So you buy it within 3 days. They charge about £200-300, but you get it. So you can still look at the searches beforehand. And also it depends on your intention of the property. If you just want to flip it, then you're willing to take that risk. Because people sometimes obviously flip contracts in it. Where they get the contract, they exchange, and they flip to someone else before completion.
Okay, yeah. I think some of us just want to hold on to our stock, but we just want to renovate the properties, and there are a couple of units in there. It looks good, but where it's a dilapidated building and no one's lived in there for 7 years, you don't know what council restrictions they could have put under this property, you
Yeah.
know? So,
There is a risk, obviously, if you're just looking to make minimal refurbishment, because you don't know what's happened in that property. I remember I went to see a property on Buckingham Road in Stratford. As soon as you step in, there's a hole, and that property is just like fully run down. So, what's happened to that property, I don't know. But I don't think there's a huge risk. Again, you can't. I'm talking about properties in East London. If I'm buying a property in an area I don't know, then I would wait for searches because I don't know that area.
and how long does searches do normally take?
It depends on the council. 10 days, 3 weeks. Some council was taking 6 weeks. I can't remember which one. Redbridge are quite fairly quick. I think Enfield took 6 or 7 weeks recently.
Okay,
So yeah, it depends.
okay. What's your long-term goal?
You know, if you asked me this in uni, I would have said, yeah, work for a corporate company, KPMG, be an accountant. And then you asked me when I started the HMO company, I'll say, yeah, run this company for 5 years. And I've been at High Castle for 5 years now. So I think long-term goal changes, and you have to adapt to situations. You've got Brexit, you've got COVID, now you've got AI coming in. You've got to adapt. But I think my long-term goal is, number one, be happy. I think that's important, regardless. And I want to be either with High Castle, either prime it for exit, get a few more branches. We're on 2 plus the social housing one, maybe in a few different areas, and build a machine, a lead generating machine to another level, and sell it to a corporate. And then you've got some cash, and then okay, decide what to do after that, because you don't know where the world is going to be in that time. Or just make a like, one of the best independents in the country. One of the two. Which one, I don't know.
Well, that's a good plan. I love the fact that you said the number one sort of priority is to be happy.
Yeah.
And that is so true. The guy who made Apple, Steve Jobs, on his deathbed, he was having pancreatic cancer. And, you know, at that stage, he was a billionaire. And he says, lying here in my bed right now, and I look at everything that I've accomplished, all the money and wealth mean absolutely nothing. That watch, whether it's a Rolex, AP, or just your box standard Casio, is still going to tell you the same time. That car outside, which is a Lamborghini, you know, Ferrari, or it's a Ford Fiesta, is still going to get you to that same sort of journey. You know, all of these things, is like, it actually doesn't really mean nothing unless you're actually happy.
Yeah.
And I'm now at a stage where I'm going to be leaving this earth and I can't take nothing with me. So I love that last quote that you've just said, that, you know, be happy. And
The way I've been thinking about it recently is a lot of people are in a fortunate position where you can get a lot of material things like watch, nice car, nice phone, nice clothes, everything. But if there was no one watching you, or if there was no one following you on social media, or if you knew no one, would you still have them same things? And if you can answer yes, then I think you're in a good position.
yeah,
If not, if what other people are thinking aren't bothering you, then you're in a good position. Like, to be honest, I'd wear the same clothes. This, my wife got me. This, you don't know, I've got about 6 of these t-shirts. My wife bought me one. I'm like, okay, this is sick. It's black. I like wearing black. So I've been buying them. As soon as they come on sale, okay, buy 3, 4. And my wardrobe is like black trousers. I'll still wear it. You're the same, probably.
yeah. I mean, I do like occasionally to spend, but I'll definitely go to Primark and spend about 80 quid on about 5 items.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I can wear these shorts, that belt, this accessory, and then I would probably go to a nicer store, and then buy one nice or two nice items where they cost 50, 60 quid, the amount of the whole shopping, because it's like, why shall I do £300-400 of shopping where I can shop smartly here and then just add a nice couple of accessories, to it to make it look a little bit nicer. You want to feel good. You want to, say that I'm working so hard for something, but it's not the ultimate thing. Absolutely not. I do feel that you should hold back with your expenses, and live a very simple life. But at the same time, I feel that when you come into quite a lot of success, there's nothing wrong with spending a little bit of money either.
Nothing wrong in treating yourself.
You treat yourself like, it does make you feel a little bit different. There's a woman who's like, oh, I'm depressed right now. And then she'll go out and she'll buy a new handbag and she goes, I like this item. It makes me feel good. It makes you, and sometimes it does. Yeah. And because sometimes you can go the other way. And sometimes I'll put myself in a shell that I'm not allowed to have that. I'm not allowed to have this. And the other day, I went to the physiotherapist and he said, look, your feet are quite flat. You need something with an arch in it.
Oh, these shoes are sick for it because I got flat foot.
Okay.
Shout out on running sponsor Sean's podcast. But
there you go.
These shoes are quite sick. So
Nice.
I wear them everywhere. Even meetings, I wear them. It's like, I don't care. But I'm also at a stage where I can go meet someone and just wear this. Like, my confidence comes within my own knowledge and ability. I don't need to necessarily dress up, shirt, trouser, which I hate wearing.
You look like a lovely family orientated, respectable man. And I love your podcast as well, like all the stuff that you talk about. I know you're quite religious and that sort of vibe, but you're not being, you're not pushing it onto anybody. You're just speaking the truth of what you know. And I do really love that and I respect that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But Zaid, you've been absolutely brilliant. We've come to the end of the podcast already. That was a good conversation. We spoke about so many things, about being an estate agent, your journey, university, and how you found your way. So thank you so much for sharing that. If you look straight into your camera and just let everybody know how they follow you.
Follow me on Instagram, Zaid Patel. Subscribe to the Island Monday podcast. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. But I get a bit controversial on Twitter, but that's about it.
And there you go, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. I've been on Zaid Patel's podcast twice on I Love Monday, so make sure you go and check his podcast out because he's had some high-profile entrepreneurs on there as well. And this is all about collaboration. It's not about competition. Not everybody in your sector, you'll feel that you need to feel that, let me try to tear his tree down. Hey, there might be something really great on his channel, might be something really great on my channel. Why can't you have both of us on your playlist, and you'll get the most benefit for yourself. So before you do anything and you want to get inspired, listen to successful people, listen to their conversations, see what you can get for free before you even put your hand in your pocket and say, do you know what? I'm going to take another step further to make that move because that money is precious and you want the most value for it. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast and don't forget to share this with somebody else who might need to see it. So smash the like button, press the subscribe button as well. Leave Zaid a comment. I'll make sure he gets it and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.